somebody said to me once, very recently, like the best response to somebody saying something really, not great to you, to your face. I keep using the word shitty, but it seems to fit.
No, it works. Yeah.
Is to look them right in the eye and go, excuse me, and walk away.
Yeah.
I was like,
so true.
So using that. I mean, not that people walk up to my face and say nasty things all the time, but it's just that, and that's the let go. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Hello, companions. I'll leave you to your regularly scheduled programming in just a moment, but I wanted to pop in and say thank you. Your membership not only keeps the companion running, you're also contributing to mental health support, wildfire relief, food shortages, cancer research, and more. We could not do this without every single one of you. Thank you for being the change. I hope you enjoy part 3 of Embracing Mental Health as a Fandom with Amanda Tapping, and I can't wait to see all of you at part 4. But while you're waiting, make sure to take advantage of our incredible on-demand library. You can catch Amanda again in Uplifting Women in Film and Television, the event that actually led me to the companion. The Uplifting Women series also includes Jules State and Deborah Pratt, who is one of the first, if not the actual first, Black woman executive in sci-fi. And not only this, you've got all of Stargate AI, a Brad Wright interview series podcast, and so much more. And you can also take advantage of our in-depth articles, some of which are even in audio form. At the end of the event you're about to watch, you'll hear us mention Social Hour. We have one after every event, sometimes with a theme, and other times just as a great hangout with like-minded fans. Make sure to take advantage of it next time. And if you're not already, get involved with our vibrant community by joining our Discord server. Companion members are some of the kindest, most caring, and welcoming fans you will ever meet. And as companion staff, we're in there every day as well. And also, you'll often be the first to hear about amazing news in there too. Thank you once again, companions, for making a difference in so many ways. On with the show.
Change my emotions. Come on, love me again. You're all I need. Can you love me again? Come on, love me the way you did. I just can't change my emotions.
Hello, companions.
Hello, companions. Welcome to part 3 of Embracing Mental Health as a Fandom. If you don't know me, my name is Rebecca Davis. I'm a producer here with The Companion and a producer and co-fry of 3 Fries Short. And I'm one of your hosts for today's event. That is, if you really want to call us hosts. I think you'll find the vibe of this installment a little different from the previous 2. This time we're going more for that conversation around a table with friends sort of feeling. Now, I don't know about all of you, but I've had a heck of a time these past 6 months. Honestly, it's been an emotional roller coaster. I feel like I've been put through the ringer. I've read countless stories that you all have sent in to me that indicate I'm probably not alone in this. What really keeps me going through it is the amazing support I've received from my friends and my community. So with that in mind, I'd like to introduce 3 people that mean the world to me and continue to help and inspire me daily. First up, she provides hilarious commentary on TikTok, always bringing new perspectives to the TV shows we know and love, and she's one of my co-fries on 3 Fries Short. Please welcome Sarah. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, friends. I'm so happy to be here.
We're happy to have you. Next, she uses her platform on TikTok and beyond to advocate for LGBTQ community and mental health, and she brings that Daniel Jackson heart to every episode of 3 Fries Short. My co-fry, Christina. Hi, Christina.
Hi, everyone.
And of course, our guest of honor, who needs no introduction, but I'm giving her one anyway. You know her from in front of and behind the camera, from Stargate to Anne with an E, Sanctuary to Motherland Fort Salem. She's portrayed characters that so many of you have mentioned are North Stars for you. And she's given the fandom and this community an amazing rally point in this series, Embracing Mental Health as a Fandom, offering techniques and stories that continue to resonate. It is my honor to welcome back Amanda Tapping. Hi, Amanda.
Hi. Hello.
It is
Welcome,
so nice,
friends.
So nice to see you and be in this space with you once again.
It's great to be here. It's we were just talking, I think, full disclosure to everyone who's watching. the four of us were just talking about how nervous we are for this
Mhm.
one. It's this is going to be very honest and very raw and very emotional, and I think the timing is kind of perfect.
I
Mhm.
totally agree. Before we like deep dive in with all the feels, I
Mhm.
did want to give a small financial update. As of right now, we've officially raised right at $20,000 for mental health organizations, and we've split that across between NAMI in the US, Kids Help Phone in Canada, and Mind in the UK. NAMI, the US-based one, actually, it's a huge organization, but even so, our contributions have been noticed. We received a wonderful message from Drew Keaveney. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, so I'm sorry. But he's the manager of donor relations at NAMI. And Lawrence was even sent their year-end impact report as a result of everything we've done. So a very heartfelt thank you from us at the Companion to you, Amanda, and to everyone who has helped financially or otherwise, because I've seen some amazing support given between members of the Companion community. It's pretty awesome what we've been able to do in just these 3 events. Some final logistics, and then I promise we can get talking. We do have a live Q&A segment at the end. If you are in the comments and you have a question or a nice story, Lawrence is in the comments. He's ready to screen for them to let us know that you have them. So go ahead and get them in, and we'll try to address as many as we can at the end. And most importantly, before we go any further, it's important to point out that no one here is a mental health professional. We will be sharing our personal experiences, techniques, and suggestions. But if you are currently in crisis, please seek out professional help. You can go to the link that's underneath there, www.thecompanion.app/mental health. There's a whole list of resources. I've heard you and I've read your stories, and it's pretty amazing to see just how much of a difference that we've made with this series. And my hope is that you can use these to feel supported, to know you're not alone, and to help you find the confidence and the will to seek that help that you need. So please get help if you need it. All right. Are we ready to go? Are we ready to dive in here?
Yes.
Let's
do it.
Let's
do it.
Previously, Amanda, you took us through a little simple box breathing technique the last 2 times, which I can tell you, and we're actually going to share a story as well, how much that's meant to people. Christina, if you would like to do the honors of reading the story.
Absolutely. All right. So this comes to us from Mara. So the box breathing technique that Amanda introduced a lot of us to actually came up in my life a few weeks ago. My mom and I got in an accident where a truck rear-ended us. Everyone's fine and healthy. Thank gosh. And in the ambulance, the box breathing technique came up. I had a bad anxiety attack, though it was explained a bit differently to me and wasn't working well for me until I suddenly remembered the first event with Amanda, and I could almost hear her voice guiding me through it. Once I remembered how she guided it, I got my breathing to do it correctly. That is pretty powerful. Like, that is pretty amazing.
I'm already crying. Darn it. And I 7 minutes.
Oh, you got to hold that in. We got more coming.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm so glad that it made a difference. And I'm so glad you and your mom are okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's that little Amanda voice in the head just really helping, but it's powerful. And these grounding techniques are so important. And today I have the honor of taking us through one that really has helped me quite a bit. And I'm going to take us through it as a group, which is a little bit more unique than I would typically do this, because this is something that I do to reground myself in my sensory as someone who suffers with, autism, ADHD, sensory overload. And when those panics happen, it is really hard sometimes to even find that calming space. So we're going to go through what's called the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. I don't know if, Amanda, you've ever heard of this or anyone's kind of gone through this before, but I'm excited to take us through. So if you want to bring up kind of the method, I'm going to take us through it as a group. All right. So first thing we're going to do, and this is everyone listening, please take time to do this and engage. This will really help center us, I think, in the right space. So first thing we're going to do, and I'm going to start with myself, is to think about 5 things that we can see. So we're in that moment where everyone's swirling around us and we're not quite sure what to do. And so for me, even right now, feeling a little bit of that anxiety, I'm going to look around and I see a picture that my daughter, drew. I see my cats that are just lurking and staring at me. I see my shoes that aren't fully put away at the front of the door. But then I also see this little Santa Claus figure that I realized I forgot to put away from my Christmas decorations. And then I kind of like look around, and then I also see this little snow globe. Actually, that's super sweet that my daughter must have just placed behind me. And that really has helped me feel visually aware of where I'm at. And so the next thing, so I'm going to go through. So the fourth thing we're going to do, or the second thing we're going to do, is we're going to do 4 things that we hear. And Rebecca, I'd like you to kind of take this part to kind of share, like, what are some 4 things that you hear right now?
Sure. I can hear this little, just slightly staticky noise through my headphones.
Mm-hmm.
I can hear my heater on as well. The hard drive that's here in front of me, and a little bit of squeakiness in my chair going on right now as well. So those are the 4 things that I can hear.
All right. So everybody, like, think of those 4 things you hear. And then Amanda, feeling. What are 3 things? Sorry. What are 3 things that maybe you're feeling right now? Like feel,
Should
like
they
a
be
touch,
physical things I'm feeling, or
like a feel, like a touch sensory.
I can feel the really soft cushion that I put under my tush because I know we're going to be here for a while. I can feel the back of my chair, which gives me a little bit of movement. And forgive me if it's too much sometimes when I get nervous. And I can feel, so my desk is this old farm table that I got in an antique store that I painted like bright turquoisey blue. And it's got, it just feels solid old wood farm table. I feel that, and I feel its strength and its history. That's what I feel.
That's wonderful. Sarah, so to you, 2 things that you can smell right now.
So I can smell the candle that I have burning. It is very beachy, like a coconut, white sand type of smell. And I can smell the laundry detergent off of my sweater. It's very comforting.
And then for everyone, and feel free to put it in the chat, what's the one thing you can taste right now? Like for me, it's coffee that I've just been sipping on. But what is that? And just take a moment to like think about all those things and really put yourself in the present and really stay as anchored as we can here as we go through this conversation, because we already know it's going to be a ride. But thank you everyone for doing this grounding technique. So this is another one that really is a tool kind of in that toolkit to pull if you're having those moments. And then from here, we do have a question that came up that I'm going to read. I don't know, Rebecca, if you're able to put it up there. So this comes from Kimberly, and it's, Amanda, I would like to know what inspires you to talk so candidly with mental health communities in the fandom.
Because I know that we all struggle. And I think that there's this perception. I know that people have this perception of me that I'm strong and grounded and got my act together. And the truth is that's probably not true 75% of the time. And I know from the stories over the past 3 decades that I've gotten from fans about their lives and what's going on, that I know that mental health is a real struggle. And I feel like it's one of the things that we don't talk about enough. And I think there's something really powerful from the last 2 that we've done about sharing with community and knowing that you're not alone. And that's why I think it's just so important that we talk about it and that people never, ever, ever feel alone.
Yeah, 100%. And that actually kind of moves us right well into our next section. So I know we're here on the screen and we're talking about stuff to help everyone out there. And like you said, we don't always admit what's going on in here either. And so actually, to even take that further, some of our members in one of our recent social hours just straight up asked me how I was doing. And I got the feeling that they maybe saw something more going on that I wasn't even sharing with people. While it's good to sometimes put up that brave front, to put those shields up, it's also really important for people to realize, like you said, that they're not alone. So Sarah is going to take us through this next section in that spirit.
So I want to ask the question, how are we really doing? And not give that canned, I'm great, thanks, and like continue on with our day. So starting off with me, I'm doing surprisingly good. which is, I know I was just like, I'm great. But the maintenance phase of maintaining that can be scary because like you feel happy, you feel like you're in a good place. And it's scary because it's like, what happens if that all gets taken away and like you have a sudden decline? So in maintaining that, I'm just trying to be mindful of learning to disengage from things that are bad for my mental health, especially like on the internet. I don't read comments. Mean things people say about me is none of my business. I'm not looking at that. And then just not engaging with people in real life or on the internet that are just dedicated to misunderstanding you and not really listening to you at all and just want to keep you arguing or in a toxic place. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Rebecca?
Sure. I think I mentioned previously in at least one of the two other embracing mental health things that I was previously diagnosed with borderline personality disorder at 26 years old. And I can honestly say the past 6 months have been the darkest place I've been in since then. It even kind of kicked in before our last embracing mental health in September. And I think I've pinpointed a couple of different reasons. It was during a time when things were getting really, really cool and exciting career-wise. I finished post-production on my feature film. And I know part 2, we talked about that mourning period after something like that, when you've been working so hard and you're trying to create this, putting your creativity out into the world too. And this is definitely the biggest project that I've done to date. So I think the biggest crash came afterwards. There were a couple of things though. The very practical issue that I had was I needed some adjustment of my medications. So I take Wellbutrin. I needed an adjustment on that. And I found out that I had really low vitamin D, which does not help anything. So my meds are adjusted. I'm running again regularly. Things are looking up. But here comes the question for you, Amanda. It's almost scary just how big of a swing that was. It really scared me. And it makes me even more nervous for the next steps and the next big upswing, because we're submitting to festivals and we're doing all this work, and I just feel like it's going to be higher, and so it's probably going to be lower too. So my question is, do you have anything that you do proactively to help in a situation like that, go into these big, busy, exciting moments to the valleys in between? Like, how do you try not to get whiplash, basically?
Yeah, I find something that's completely unrelated to my industry to keep me busy, and it takes my mental focus in a different direction and my physicality in a different direction. And it sounds maybe crazy, but I'm decorating my house. So I'm painting and I'm wallpapering and what it does is it just gives me an outlet for that energy.
Yeah.
And it's really hard, especially I found when Motherland ended, I sunk into a bit of a depression because it was such a full-on show and I loved everyone so much, and then suddenly it's done.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of my recent big crash was after Motherland, and I just started working on my house.
I believe you mentioned I was just going to say, I believe you even mentioned you painted your KitchenAid. So last time that we talked. So
yeah. But now I'm actually working on walls and things.
I love it.
More practical.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I probably should get into some home improvement things or something. Something completely, like you say,
something that you see a tangible result, right? You can actually put your focus on something, you see a tangible result. It may not always be great, as happened with me, but it's something that I can actually see a physical result.
Yeah, that's why I'm really excited to be running again, because that is something as well, like I can build up to, and I can see myself getting better and better in that. And it has nothing to do with that like creative world, like filmmaking and everything. It's just something completely different. So yeah, for sure.
That's hugely important. We talked about that the last time, the importance of being active physically. It takes a lot to actually get yourself back into whatever routine it is running, or back into the gym when you're feeling insecure, or but honestly, I went to the gym first thing this morning because I was like, I gotta pump myself up.
Yeah, gotta do it. I love that. Yeah. Amanda, how are you doing, really?
Well, not great. I just came back from visiting my father and my stepmother, who are both in their 80s. and not doing great. And it was a bit disturbing to see how much older they seemed. And it sort of triggered a lot of feelings about my mom and the loss of my mom. So that was, sort of working through with my one of my brothers went with me, which was amazing, and just got a lot of stuff done for them. But it frightened me to think that they're closer to being gone than being here, if that makes sense. My father's going to be 88 this year, and that's whoa. And I think I was super nervous about this because it's been a really, really tough couple of years. And I finally feel myself coming out of the other side of it. And then I find that there's one little thing that can trigger me back to something really shitty. Yeah. And I'm sure that that's the case for a lot of people. There's those little triggers. You hear a song, you see something, you hear about somebody in your past, and it's triggering. So I find myself having those little moments where I go, oh, no, I don't want to go back down there, and trying to talk myself off of the little ledge that we find ourselves on. I mean, for the
We're frozen. Is she back?
I don't know. We frozen. We'll hold.
Cue Jeopardy theme song.
Do, do, do.
Here,
Really?
I'll find some things people are saying in the meantime. Oh, Hermione Felton, the
Hello?
5432. There you are.
There.
Throwing some
Hi.
comments up.
There.
I'm so sorry. We have this huge rainstorm coming through. It's like a Pineapple Express, and it's massive amounts of rain. And I'm hoping that's not kicking up my internet. But I'm so sorry about that,
You're
everyone.
back for now.
Oh, we're all good.
I was just going to go into the comments and play. Just throw some comments.
I'm not going to, jeopardize or monopolize this, rather. But it's been a struggle. It's been a struggle. And then there's great moments of joy that I find myself laughing my head off, and I think that's normal too, to just ride these highs and lows. But
I think I hadn't even considered, just like you were saying about the one tiny thing that can put you back in that so easily, and it's so true. And I hadn't even thought about it that way, but I 100% have felt that multiple times over the past couple of years. So I think just being aware of that will probably help a lot, and maybe help a lot of other people too, just to realize that.
Totally.
It's huge to be able to say, okay, I know what's happening now. And I know that was a trigger, and I understand why I'm feeling this way. That alone is huge. Because it doesn't feel like you're suddenly being hit by this 90-foot wave. You see it coming. Okay. All right.
Totally. Yeah. I think, though, also, sometimes we don't know that trigger happened. And sometimes, even in all the healing, to your point, even when we're yeah, we're good. I'm on this journey. I'm good. I'm in a good space. I know. But then something happens and it roots itself in there. And the next thing you know, because you didn't see it happen, you're months down the road and you're oh, I got to look at this. Something went off course here. And maybe that ties into the how am I doing?
Yeah.
I was I was that's that is something that I went to. So in transparency, when Rebecca and Sarah, when this came up about how are we doing? I'm currently I'm at this space where I'm recoding. I think of myself as this internal programming of because the way that I exist in my world, and the way that it makes sense for me, is I have this inner coding, this inner programming that I operate within, because it helps me make sense of my surroundings in my space. And if something gets a bug in my system, so if something gets off, it can really take me a while to understand what happened. And about this time last year, I got presented with the news that my ex-husband was having a baby with his new partner. And I'm that's great. I'm super happy for you all. But that rooted something, and that was a trigger that it didn't take me until October to realize had happened. And from January to October, it manifested something really nasty within me. But now I'm in therapy, and things have kind of repositioned themselves into that point, Amanda, when you see it and you're this is what that is. it makes everything so much easier to deal with. But what happened was I spent the last year in a space where two things were going on. I had to face kind of my birthing PTSD because for those who do know or don't know, because I've shared this in some spaces, I had a really difficult um, experience. I gave birth to Ryder at 5.5 months pregnant because I developed severe preeclampsia, had a near-death experience in the hospital, and she spent years off and on oxygen and in a really space. And I got healing for that space of, okay, I have a medically sick child and all that. But what came to bubble and what I'm dealing with now is the aftermath is I didn't get the right treatment for the trauma of motherhood and what that did, because that experience in my space of losing the ability to have more children and losing that grieving process. And I was like, and again, I still was like, I'm good. A lot of complications led to me having to have a hysterectomy a few years ago just to kind of make my peace and move forward. And again, all was good in my spaces of capacity, dealt with it. All was good until I found out my ex was having a baby. And it was that, oh, here we go again. So in the answer of like how I'm doing is I'm kind of in this reprogramming phase. I'm looking at what that is and how that bubbled up and going, how do I make peace with that? How do I still honor myself in this space as a single mom raising my daughter and going through this process while also holding peace and kind of grief over that area and not hold anger on it? Because I think that's the important piece is there's this innocent soul that deserves no anger, deserves such pure love, but there was so much like weird space there. So that's the how I'm doing. And again, once I shed light on it, because when I didn't have light, when I didn't know what was going on, it harbored a lot of bad stuff. I was really ill, mentally unwell, emotionally irregulated, and it all kind of came to head back in October. And it's like the big bang. Everything, I don't know if anyone's experienced this, when that trauma just really comes forward and you really have to look at it. And especially for me, like it's everything exploded, everything imploded, everything went everywhere. And I just was left feeling like dark in my mind, like the middle of the universe. And it was like, I don't know what to do from here because I have to face it. I have to address it. And I have to rewrite my programming. I have to rewrite what I'm doing with my life. And that kind of brings us into this next conversation around glimmers, because we all get to these spaces where it feels dark, it feels heavy, and we all experience it very differently. But something that helped get me through, and I'll kind of lobby it, and then I think we've got a little story to share. But this idea of glimmers, like without that, like I could not have made it through. And we want to help talk that through with everybody. So I don't know if Sarah, if you want to share this story real quick.
Yeah, throw this story up for us.
So this is from Moon. I've been actively working on my mental health, learning mindfulness, and trying meditation so hard with ADHD lately. It has been nice to reconnect with old friends from the fandom I'd lost touch with. I think also just the sense of hearing Amanda and other people share their realities, struggles, and coping mechanisms. It makes me feel less alone. It helps. I'm almost done training to be a volunteer firefighter, and I feel like juggling my full-time job, mountain guide, my other volunteer duties, wildlife rescue, and firefighting brings a lot of extra stress. Learning to breathe and calm myself through simple but effective coping mechanisms like these is super helpful. Once again, that's from Moon.
Thank you, Moon. Thank you for all of your service, Moon, too. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to carry this on to it and then kind of get into some more discussion on the glimmers. So like, I'm really happy to transition out of, like, we talked about a lot of the trauma and the how are we doing. And it seems like a lot of what how we're all doing is rooted in this space of, we have things that have impacted us, but it also sounds like we have some things that we're holding on to, and that transitions us into glimmers. And if you're not familiar with what glimmers are, there are these moments, these small, minute moments that can bring us calm and peace. And there, it could be like, we're going to go through examples of those and kind of have a discussion, but it's just those little things. It's not a grandiose thing, but it's those little things that we can go, thank you for that. I needed that. I needed that little like breeze to come by, put a little pep in myself. I needed that like beat in that song to kind of, okay, I'm good. But we had a really great graphic actually come in from Donna, right, Rebecca?
Yeah,
just ironically kind of matched with this. And I think you have it.
Yeah, I do. So this was shared to me the exact same day that Christina was talking about glimmers. And I was like, well, if that isn't the best coincidence ever, but here's like, it's just a nice little way to see it in a graphic form. Today, I learned about a term called a glimmer, which is the opposite of a trigger. Glimmers are these moments in your day that make you feel joy, happiness, peace, or gratitude. Once you train your brain to be on the lookout for glimmers, these tiny moments will appear more and more. So thank you, Donna, for sharing that. And it was such a perfect day for that to be shared. And because Christina started talking about it, and I was like, oh my God, they're like, somebody just shared this with me. I just learned about this. So yeah.
It's fantastic. And this is where I have a question for you, Amanda, around this, and we can then go around it is, this idea of glimmers can be a little bit tricky because it's not a one size fits all, right? Like what's a glimmer for me is not a glimmer for you, is not a glimmer for there. So I think this is where some people can get lost in that space of like, someone tell me my glimmer. And we can't tell you that. So I would love to know, Amanda, for you, what are those glimmers in these moments? Like what is over the past few months, what has been a glimmer for you that you could think about?
Oh my God, they change constantly. I mean, my daughter is a huge glimmer, just her laughing at one of my stupid jokes. Or when she just laughs and says, I love you, Mom. Or I will be, in a moment and I'll get a text from her. I'll be thinking something, maybe not, super happy, and I'll get a little text, and it's like she's psychically connected to me. And those, she's a huge glimmer. My dog, I sat down on the couch with my dog the other day, and she put her big paw on my leg and looked at me. I was like, oh, glimmer. First sip of tea in the morning is a huge glimmer. I mean, it's little things. It's a song. I don't know why this is crazy, but Kennedy Center honored Led Zeppelin. I'm not a massive Led Zeppelin fan, but I like Led Zeppelin. And Heart did a version of Stairway to Heaven. And for whatever reason, it brought me such huge joy. So when I'm like on my way to the gym, I put that on. I put Heart's version of Stairway to Heaven, and they had this huge choir in behind them, and it was brilliant. And that like when I feel myself sinking or I need a little boost, for the last few weeks, that's been so I recommend you look it up on
I will.
The intro.
We'll add it to the playlist if you can too. We still have the Embracing Mental Health playlist. So yeah.
Oh yeah. But if you can see it on YouTube, it's so cool. It's just so cool. It brought me such joy. And that was to me, like that's now when it's my pick-me-up song right now.
I love that.
That's pretty amazing too.
That is awesome. I'm curious. So my other co-fry is here. So Sarah, what for you? Because I know we have different like approaches to this. Like, so what's some glimmers?
I like smelling my favorite perfume because I'll put it like on my hand, and then like if I'm stressed, I'm like give me a hit. Or like my cats bring me such joy. They're so silly and goofy, and like something as simple as when you kind of pet them and they're sleeping and they do like little cat activation sound. I'm like, oh, thank you for that. That like really gave me something. Or even like I have like this blanket that I love. It's a crocheted blanket. I'm learning to crochet because I'm like, I need more of these.
That's part of your angry crafting that you do?
Yes. But I like to rub it on my face, and it just like calms me down, and it feels really nice. So those are some of the things that bring me those little moments of joy.
I also have a pet related one. It's a very specific one. I love petting my dog's silky smooth ears. Like it feels almost like a worry stone or something. Like
it's so
nice.
Yeah,
and
I do
then,
that.
Oh, it's so good. It's so nice. And then I said that moment on a run where the music just lines up perfectly and you feel like you're in a movie or something. It's just like that cinematic moment where you got to get past the like I hate running part for this to happen. I know I'm aware of that, but that moment is just magical. It's very much a glimmer for sure.
You know what another one is for me is the wind. If I'm walking in the woods, there's like a strong wind, and it's like there's energy in that wind. There's power. There's strength, and I love standing face first into the wind. There's something really powerful about it.
There is.
Or like right now, because it's like we're in the throes of winter, everything's so dark and depressing, and then you'll have a moment where like the sun comes out from behind clouds, and you can kind of feel the warmth coming down, and it's like I remember this.
So this is interesting. I'm going to throw a curveball to this, but this also, so to all of those things. But I also suffer with attachment to things. So like in the sense that like the pet is not so much a comforting to me. Like they're my glimmers and like I love them, but and all that. And my daughter is as well my biggest one, and like seeing her happy. But also in that space of like where I'm in a void, or if I'm in that space where I'm needing to reconstruct. And I don't know what my glimmers are again, because again, this like programming that I just have had to learn to live with within my TISM space of like constructing the world that makes sense for me is I think maybe I told, I don't know who I was talking to this about, but making a list of glimmers that I would be proud of myself for, making a list of things that I'd be proud of myself if I accomplished in the day, and then accomplishing it and being my own glimmer is really important for me in the space that I exist in, because I think sometimes I can look at the world as like a recipe that I'm supposed to like, or like a rule book, and I'm supposed to tap into it, and it's supposed to, if I go in the system, it's going to work for me. But sometimes I have to realize I can work for me, like I can be me. And so what's really helpful, and if anyone relates to this part about being like, I don't find those things, make a list of things you'd be proud of and be your own glimmer. So like for me, when I was going through that void of space and I didn't know what it was, and I was trying to kind of put myself back together, I had one a day, and it was, I wrote a poem today, or I made my bed, I did laundry, I only cried for 20 minutes today because, or I allowed myself, not that I only, but I allowed myself to cry, because instead I would have bottled it up. And like those things can also be glimmers, because then you build your confidence, you build your capacity to be authentic and like be in tune again with yourself. So again, I know that's unique and specific, but there are probably other people that might be in this space that it's okay to also try to just find it within your own mind and really stay rooted there. And that has really helped me, because then as it's rebuilt, now I do feel the wind. Now after I feel good in myself, now it is those things that, it is that song, or it is that thing. But I found that interesting, because when I initially brought up glimmers, I was a little bit surprised that everyone had a very different response than what I think of them as. And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's
I
really
think-
okay.
I think that moves us really well into this next kind of journaling discussion. So Sarah, if you want to kick us off with that, this is working great. We're perfect transitions from one to the other.
So when thinking about like journaling and list making, it made me think of a passage from a book. I've been rereading The Hunger Games because the new movie came out, and I was like, ooh, I love this series. So it made me think of this quote. Rebecca, do you want to put that up? It says, I tell them how I'll survive it. I tell them on bad mornings it feels impossible to take pleasure in anything because I'm afraid it could be taken away. That's when I make a list in my head of every act of goodness I've ever seen someone do. It's like a game. And that is from Mockingjay. It's the last page. But it made me think of like bringing up list making and journaling. There's so many ways to do it, because you have like your standard good old blank paper and pen, where however you want. But then you also have like, I have a writing prompt journal, which is more of a creative thing, where it just gives you a prompt and you can kind of get out any emotion or creativity that you're feeling this way. On like a funnier, maybe pettier note, I have the stuff I hate journal. And it's just these silly little prompts where it's like you can get out your petty grievances or negativity that you might be feeling in a kind of a productive, fun, and silly way. Like, let me find one. Sick and tired of being sick and tired. What are you sick and tired of today? There's just so many prompts. Terrible. Thanks for asking. Hey, it's me checking in on your day. Tell me something that's pissing you off. Let it all out, just between us. So I found this on Amazon, if you're wondering, but this is super fun, and it's kind of petty and silly, but it's a really good way to kind of purge yourself of that negativity in some way that's productive. And then like you also have digital journaling. Like I'm one of those people that have like a million notes apps on my phone with like random thoughts that I have, or, oh, I heard this really good song lyric. Let me put it down. I want to write it down so I don't forget it. And then as far as list making goes, like I'm big when it comes to work, like list making when it comes to work. If I'm feeling anxious about something, I have so much to do. Oh my God, this, and then this meeting, then I have to do this, and this is due for end of month. I'm like, pause. Let me write a list down, and specifically write it down, like that tactile sensation of writing it down on a piece of paper And then when you look at it, something that seemed so insurmountable, it's like so finite on this one piece of paper, and then you can check it off as you do it, and then you get that feeling of accomplishment. Like, I did it. I'm done. It's finished. So let me pose the question back to you guys. How do you incorporate journaling or list making or anything like that into helping your mental health or kind of keeping you on track with your mental health?
I'm a big list maker. I always have been.
Yes.
I love a good list. I love ticking off that list. And
Yes.
it also helps me feel like I have control of the day. Like I know what I need to get done, or I know who I need to call, and that list. And if, something gets moved to the next day, that's okay. But the list and the ticking of the list, and especially when I'm working, because work is 14, 15 hours a day and it's a lot, the list is super helpful. But it's not only just the satisfaction of ticking it off, it's knowing. And then it doesn't feel so overwhelming because I can see all the points of what I have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten interested. If anybody has Apple products out there, they have this like new journal thing on the phones now, and I was looking in there the other day, and they actually have reflections to tell you, like prompts to tell you what to write about. So describe the most memorable part of your week, or make an audio recording of your surroundings, write about what you notice. Like, I had no idea this was in here like this. So I've historically not been great about, I'm decent with lists, to-do lists, everything like that, but I'm trying to be better about journaling. And so I may give it a try. I may give the Apple thing a try. Maybe they're onto something.
You'll have to let me know what you think about this, and I think my mom might be watching this, so she's gonna laugh at this, because like I'm sure when list making came up, she was like, that does not work. She's very much a list person, and we just learned early on that as much as I like, so for my glimmers and the things I'm proud of, like that list makes sense because it's attached to like my mental health and me being present within me. But if it's to do a task, I will not. If there's a list in front of me, it's almost the opposite effect. It's like, nope, that is going on the never going to do list, because as soon as it got declared it had to get done, it's not going to happen. So I have to like gamify it for myself. I won't. If it makes it to a list, it will never get done. So I've learned I have to make up all the things that don't need to get done and trick myself into it. It's like, later in life learn, no, 100%. Like if I really actually need to get like packing done for my upcoming move, that should be nowhere on my to-do list. But what should be on my to-do list is like, I don't know, like reorganizing my daughter's room, because by default I won't reorganize it, but I will start packing. So there's these things that I've had to learn to gamify. But I remember and this is kind of funny about the list making, is that I remember a teacher telling my mom that it doesn't matter. Like, I'm going to do things on my own time. It doesn't matter if you tell me when it has to be done, how it has to be done. If it has no value to me, if I do not understand the impact, I will not do it. But if I understand the impact, if I understand the story, then I will do it. And so that's where, for the list making or the journaling, I have to tell stories to myself about how and why they matter. And then I can do it. So for me, it's a little bit more complicated because I have to have kind of layers to it. But again, it's for me, I have to have the story. It can't just be a task. So
just to let everybody out there know, we do have a social hour after this, like we usually do. And this one, actually, Lawrence is going to take everybody through some journaling stuff. So here's my little plug for the social hour. I'll mention it again, and there will be links for you to go to. But if anybody wants to learn a little more about journaling, bring your supplies, whatever you want to write on, and come join us in social hour, because I think it's going to be really, really interesting. Come join us. So I'm gonna move us right into this other kind of topic that I think is really important to talk about, and also we've gotten a really good question from a member about it, which is workplace and other places that you can't escape, and dealing with your mental health in those spaces. And I know, Amanda, I think most of the people probably out there in these comments have watched your Bite the Bullet interview, and I have. Yeah. I'm sure you have received them. I've received them in my inbox for this event, people talking about how much that interview means to them and how they watch it when they are going through things. How do you feel about that? Did you know, like, this little interview was going to just be so important for so many people?
No, I had no idea. It was really interesting because Farah, who's amazing, was like, "What do you want to talk about? What do you want to bite the bullet?" And there was all these things came up, and I said, "I really want to talk about self-worth." And she went, "Oh." And then as I started to write out what I wanted to say, I realized just how much of an impact certain events had had on my self-worth and my self-esteem. And then it suddenly became super easy to talk about it. Like suddenly I was like, oh, I can really speak to this. And I didn't realize just how impactful it was for me to say those words. Like it meant a lot for me to be able to actually articulate it. And so I'm glad that people got something out of it, because as I was doing that, you know, it was an amazing day with Farah, but as I was doing it, I was like, oh, you know? So I'm glad it had the effect, because it actually affected me in a really positive way to be able to talk about it.
That's amazing. I remember when that came out, it definitely had an impact on me, because you talked a lot about situations within the industry and that I'm trying to exist in as well. So that was really impactful. But I think there are plenty of other situations for men, women, NBs of all different races, identities, sexualities, where avoiding or getting yourself out of that situation isn't an option. And you touched on some of that in that. And standing up for yourself is terrifying, or it feels inappropriate, or it feels like it's going to endanger your job or your career. And you feel like maybe your issue also isn't even important enough or big enough to say it. And so we have a question from Sophie too, one of our members, that kind of goes in with that, I think, pretty well. The questions are, do you think it would be possible to talk about options to learn how to let go? She reached out, can we talk about this? It was very cute. Or can you give me more tips about how you can protect yourself from overwhelming situations?
Wow. I mean, the let go is hard.
Mm-hmm.
The let go is really a hard thing. Part of the reason that it's so hard is because our ego is attached to what's happening to us. And when somebody says something or does something that makes you feel marginalized or smaller than you should, ego kicks in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really hard to let go. And what I have been teaching my daughter and talking to my friends about is, more often than not, when somebody, for lack of a better word, bullies you, it's their own insecurities. Like whenever bullies are insecure people. People who feel the need to put you down are doing it because of something that they're lacking. Maybe you're too shiny to them and they want to make you less shiny so that they feel better about themselves. And more, I have realized that that is exactly what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And they're either intimidated or there's some perverse joy about, and that's a whole other story, but about watching people get hurt. But it's about realizing that is where it's coming from, realizing the place it's coming from, which is an insecure place. So maybe that gives you compassion towards your bully, but also letting go of our own ego attachment to what that means to us. Like if somebody, and it's happened, has said something shitty about me or to me, I can't let it go. I'm like, oh my God, that's so, why would they? And you have to explain it. It's just our ego saying, fighting back. And honestly, 9 times out of 10, it's not worth it. It's not worth the fight of giving them that energy, almost giving them the satisfaction of knowing that they hurt you.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, when it becomes a situation that is constant and unhealthy, then you have to speak up and you have to know the people to go to speak up. But a lot of the time, because I came from a generation that's like, just nose to the grindstone, keep working, don't create waves, be a good girl.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were taught that as young girls and young women, don't be a problem. To great disservice to my generation of women and the women before me, but I think it's getting better now. We're able to speak up and say, that's not right.
Mm-hmm.
But if it happens in an insidious behind closed doors kind of way, you have to kind of ask where it's coming from. And so for me, that's the let go. It's letting go of my ego's response to it and saying, I think the issue is with you.
Oh yeah. And it's so difficult. It's so tricky.
And somebody said to me once, very recently, like the best response to somebody saying something really, not great to you, to your face. I keep using the word shitty, but it seems to fit.
No, it works. Yeah.
Is to look them right in the eye and go, excuse me. and walk away.
Yeah.
I was like,
So true.
so using that. I mean,
Mhm.
not that people walk up to my face and say nasty things all the time, but it's just that, and that's the let go.
Mhm.
Excuse me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to sit with that. You don't have to sit there and go,
Yeah.
just to walk away.
Like what I talked about in the Bite the Bullet was the shrapnel that we carry, all pieces of metal and pain,
Mhm.
wounds that other people have inflicted on us and that maybe we've allowed to be inflicted on us, because you can't always have your armor up.
Mm-mm.
It's allowing them to embed in your flesh, and it's about like just
Mhm.
taking them out and feeling lighter, because it's
Mhm.
their shit that's embedded in your flesh. It's not you. It's not something you've done wrong. It's other people's issues.
Mhm.
100%.
Yeah. This is a little bit rogue, but as on par. But this just triggered something that Amanda, actually, your voice was in my head on something very recently about that, pulling that out and what we were willing to accept. I recently departed a friendship and drew a boundary line because this person, this individual, this man, was borderline on some things that just weren't sitting well with me. And it was like historically, I would have sat there and been like, "That's just locker room talk. Oh, that's just this." And it was actually these kind of conversations we've had that very recently. I was able to eloquently say what I needed to say and say, I'm going to leave this now. And I did it in a way that I felt I honored myself by not just blocking and removing, but I said, no.
Yeah.
You are wherever you need to be. And like that was really empowering. And it's so sad how terrifying that can be, to just draw a boundary line.
Yeah.
To just say, this friendship is done. I'm walking away. And that was, but these chats have helped build that in me to go, it's okay even to exit. I don't have to sit and take it, to your point.
Yeah. And it doesn't make you a bitch. I've actually released a very toxic person recently and just went, whew, wow.
Mhm.
And not being afraid that, my phone would buzz and there'd be a text or there'd be something that would trigger me right back into that PTSD feeling of not being worthy, or what are they going to say now that's going to make me feel guilty? What passive aggressive thing is going to come flying at me, and just blocking it.
Yeah.
And then realizing like 3 months later going, oh, that's not happening anymore. And wow, what an amazing thing. It doesn't, it's really about protecting yourself. And like you said, setting your boundaries.
For sure.
I think it's also worth saying too, like Christina, I think it's really brave that you feel the need, you felt the need to explain to that person, like, hey, I'm drawing this boundary. I'm not okay with this. But I think it's also okay if you need to protect your mental health and protect your peace. You don't owe people an explanation all the time. You can just exit a friendship and be like, I'm done with this.
100%.
You don't owe that explanation to somebody.
100%.
Or owe them.
They won't get it necessarily, right?
Yeah.
They won't
No.
get or they'll turn it against you, if you're dealing with narcissist or
Exactly. And like, I think coming from a place, and Sarah's been my sounding board for some of these things, because sometimes I need the Sarah hot take. So Amanda, she's the one, if I need that, like, okay, we're gonna have a real talk about how this gets handled, but like I go for a Sarah hot take. That's what I get. And it's here's what I need. But what I have learned in those spaces is to not say it because I need them to respond. It's to say it so that I can find my voice. I don't care what they say back. I don't care. It's not about that. And so, to your point, Sarah, you don't owe anyone explanation in that case. It was more about me saying and feeling confident to say, and then going, excuse me, and bye.
Yeah.
And now I'm done.
I love that. I hate to like keep moving us forward, but we're getting close here, and I do want to allow time for some live Q&A. But before that, Amanda, we started after our last time with you. We started this tradition where we have a previous guest ask a question to the next guest, and they don't know who it's going to be. They just ask a question. So I have a question from a previous guest on our show, and after that, we can answer it, and then want you to think about a question for the next person who you will not know who it is. So let's listen to the question first. It's from Juan Carlos Cotto. He's the showrunner of 911, actually. So
I will ask a very pedestrian question, but I think it's a pretty good one, which is, what teacher changed your life?
Ooh. Wow, I have a few. I had some pretty incredible teachers. Changed my life, probably one of my professors at university who rode me so hard and made me feel like I was completely not a good actor. And did it because she wanted to push me because she saw something in me. In fact, it happened also with an acting coach of mine who just passed away, David Rotenberg, who in his first class eviscerated me. I just thought, oh, I'm never going to go back there. And the lesson was, when people push you so hard, it's really, I just thought he hated me. And it turns out that he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And so I guess ultimately I would say David Rotenberg was the teacher who pushed me.
I love that.
To believe that I was capable of more.
Yeah.
And then when you're pushed that hard, you find that you can rise to the occasion.
Yeah. I
when
mean,
you're
I stopped
challenged.
going. I stopped going. Like I finished the course and then I was like, I'm never going back. The guy hates me. And he called me and said, you didn't sign up for my next class. And I'm like, you hate me. Oh, get your ass back in here. And I was like, oh, okay.
I love those moments. I definitely had a professor that was like the same thing. And I realized by the end of college what he was doing. So I had him sit on my board for my senior project, even though I knew he was going to rip it apart, because it was really, really handy once you realize what they're doing to have that from somebody, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
So Amanda, if you can ask a question, any question does not matter, and you don't know who it's going to be to, but that doesn't really matter.
It's like you instantly forget any question you ever had.
Okay. If you could change one habit that you do, not even a physical habit necessarily, but a mental habit that you fall into, what would it be?
It's a good one.
It's a really good one.
Awesome. So let's get to some of these questions. We have a couple of really, really good questions here that I want to cover. And if everybody's okay, we'll go like 5 minutes over or so, because I would love to just have some answers to these questions for people. Let's see. Reiki, the sword demon. How do you be vulnerable enough to tell people you are struggling and need support?
Ooh. I think it's trusting that, like here, for example, trusting that there's a huge safety net. Trusting your safety net and being able to say, okay, this is what's happening for me right now. And perhaps in my sharing of it, I can make somebody else feel better. So I think it's knowing that it's not just about being vulnerable, but that vulnerability is a massive strength for somebody else.
Yeah. I love that. I think, hopefully what we're creating in this space of embracing mental health as a fandom that we've been doing is helping people feel okay to be more vulnerable. I know I personally do after all of these conversations that we've had. So hopefully everybody else out there is feeling the same.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Here's a not mental health related question, just to have something else. Are there any new projects in the pipeline for Amanda, in front of or behind the camera? And we kind of talked about this, but do you go on a low when you're not working full time?
Okay. So I do have a new project coming up. I start it at the end of February, no, less than a month from now, on the Sunshine Coast in British Columbia. And it's a new television series that I'm super excited about. And I'm doing 2 episodes. And I'm not sure what the final working title is going to be right now. It's Murder in a Small Town, but it could be called Alberg, based on a series of books. And I'll be directing. And then I just got asked to do the voiceover on a film.
Ooh.
I'm not sure I'm allowed to talk about, but anyway. And
nobody say anything out there. Don't
spoiler alert.
Yeah. Shh. Yeah. Those are the 2 things coming up. I have one big job that I'm not even allowed to talk about, but I was approached. And if I get it, then you'll all know I'll be screaming it from the rooftops.
Oh my gosh. I can't wait. I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah.
All right. This is from Lauren. How do you protect your own mental health when you're trying to support others with difficult and painful circumstances?
It's a great question. It's really easy to get sunk by the weight of other people's problems. And especially if you're empathetic and compassionate, it's hard not to take it on. But I think, again, it's it's recognizing that, we say we're burdening. And I think we talked about this with friendship, you burdening your friends, but in actual fact, you're giving them a gift of being able to help you. So when somebody comes to me with something, it's like they're giving me a gift. It may be a burden that, they feel they're placing on me, but it's a gift to be able to help that person. So that's the protection in knowing that it's a reciprocal agreement, right? That it's not, oh God, somebody else's problems. It's like, well, maybe I can actually help that person. And there's something really great about being able to do that. It's a great feeling in being able to help. I hope that helps. That makes sense, what I just said.
I think it makes perfect sense. And I just have to say that, like, my two co-fries that are sitting in this with us right now, I think have been the best experience as far as friends that, like, we take our turns and we share everything. And when we're having trouble, like, we have a group text chat that goes on all day, every single day, even though we've really only met in person once and twice. Well, all three of us have only ever been in the same room one time. But it's been amazing to have that. And I know I personally feel the same way you do, Amanda. Like, when people come and say things and ask me for advice or help, with these two do, I feel great that you've asked me, and I think, I don't want to speak for the two of you, but I feel like it goes all around.
I will add in there, if I can, like, one thing that I really value too is understanding and, like, being mindful of our own boundaries too. And, like, there are times when sometimes being the best friend to someone is saying, I'm here for you. I'm not also in a good space, and recognizing that you don't owe someone an extension of yourself if you're not well and in a good space, and try to create that balance. But I also a lot of times think, Amanda, about what you said that one time about when your friends were telling you were being a shitty friend about, like, not telling when you were going through something.
Yeah.
I think there's value in, like, realizing I am a shitty friend if I am not telling my people I'm struggling. And I don't necessarily always need something, but I just need them to know, maybe to be kinder or gentler. And I don't know. I think that you do need your people, but you are a shitty friend if you hold it all in. Like, you need to show up too.
I love the Carrie saying. My husband recently said, yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure his friends all went, okay, thank you. What can we do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Sarah, we have a question for you.
I saw this. So
can you please repeat the two titles of those books you're using?
So this was actually a Christmas present from Christina from last year. It's called 300 More Writing Prompts. I don't know where you got it, girl.
I have it
Where'd
too.
you get it? Amazon?
You can get it at, I think you can get it at Target, Amazon, wherever. It was not a, like, one spot only. You can, I think Amazon, you can probably get it.
But these are more like they're very random. Some are creative. Some are just like, what's your favorite TV show? Talk about it. And then this one is from Amazon. It's called The Stuff I Hate. Again, very silly, very fun. Highly recommend.
Let's all everybody out there go get The Stuff I Hate, and then we'll get back together and we'll discuss it. And it's gonna be great. It'll just be a bitch fest for, like,
I'm here for
I love it. I'm here for it.
Totally here for it.
I'm going to put one last comment up because we have definitely come to the end of our time amazingly. But I do think this says a lot from a lot of people in the comments, how so much resonates. And this is what it's for. I had no idea everyone else had the exact same issues and feelings, and a relief in a way. What do you all think about that? Because I agree with that. I just love to hear
exactly why we do this.
Yeah.
Really, right? Like, I don't know that we ever set out with a clear mandate, but just to make people feel less alone.
Yeah. Because you're not alone.
No. And I think creating, like, this is such an incredibly safe space, because to bring it back to what you said at the beginning, people are writing in and sharing more and trusting more. And Amanda, this has been the best gift. Honestly, I think more than the impact is not known at this point, but it has created such a safe, wonderful space for everybody. And, like, I just started looking at the chat. I have not been looking at it.
Right.
And like, I'm going to cry. Like, it is pretty amazing and really special. Because it's not easy to It's not easy to make people feel safe sometimes.
No, and it's not easy to feel safe. I mean, it's really funny when I first started talking with the guys at the Companion, and they were like, "What do you want to do? Like, what do you want to talk? Like, what, you know?" And I just went, mental health. I don't like, just kept coming back to mental health, mental health, mental health. And then you guys have made it so easy and safe and beautiful. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And also another thank you, not a question, but a huge thank you to you, the Fries, and Amanda. Thanks, Sophie. We appreciate it. I'm all of us are thankful too. And I think that'll roll into this kind of wrapping things up. I'm going to keep you all here while I say my spiel. Yeah, we'll wrap things up for now. It's been an amazing hour. It has flown by like always. Thank you so much to everyone out there for joining us today. I truly mean it when I say I am in awe of your generosity towards the mental health organizations, and especially your sincere care and concern for each other. It is truly unlike any other community I've ever been a part of. I'm sincerely saying that. If you sent in a story and it didn't get shared, don't worry. I have them all. I have read them all, and I'm going to pass them all on to you, Amanda. They're so amazing.
Thank you.
So you'll get all the stories. Thank you so much to my co-fries, Sarah and Christina, your support for these events. Because they've been behind the scenes in every single one of these events. I don't know how many people know that, but they have been behind the scenes for all of them. And also your support of me through everything has been truly, I'm getting emotional on this, life-altering. And I mean that for sure. Oh my gosh, there it comes. And of course, I'm sorry. That's what I try to do when I get emotional. I try to quickly move past it. So I'm sorry if I'm rushing.
Sit in it. You're good.
Sit in it for a minute.
It's good.
Ooh. And of course, thank you so much, Amanda. You're not only willing to have these conversations, but like you said, you are the person who wanted to have them in the first place. And you truly have given us all a rallying point in our mental health journeys. And you've done that with grace and compassion. So thank you so much.
Thank you for facilitating it.
I'm happy to every time. If you have a green room, this is for everybody out there. If you have a green room spot or you want to join us for social hour and do the journaling thing, you can head over after this to the link. It's in the description. It's also going to be on this end card that I'm going to pop up. So, but it's go.thecompanion.app/getsocial. Everybody's going to be in that one Zoom call, and we're going to do our breakout. So if you're a green room or you want to do social hour, hop in there. Give us a few minutes, maybe about 15 minutes if you need to. Grab a quick snack, a break, whatever, and then head over to that link. And please be patient when you get there. We're going to work as quickly as we can to get everybody admitted to both as quickly as we possibly can. If you're not a member of the Companion, consider joining. Right now, we have a January Blues offer going on. So you can get the whole year worth of events for $19.99. Or you can at least sign up for our free newsletter where you will receive some awesome content and announcements. And I have it on good authority that we have some really exciting stuff coming up. So make sure you know all about it by subscribing. And thank you again, everybody out there. It's been amazing. Once again, any final thoughts from anybody else before I wrap it up here?
Come see me in Basingstoke in May. Love to see you, because it's not going to be me. The three fries are going to be there as well.
Come see all of us.
I'll be there.
Going across the pond.
Hop in the pond. Thank you so much, everyone, and we will see you next time.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.